Yesterday, I think it was either on Goldie's show or you said it in the premium chat. You were saying yesterday that the IRGC wants to fight instead of instead of waiting for the war to resume by the United States. Why is that? Why not they just directly attack if they want war so badly? Why are they just standing around and just waiting for everything to happen?
Okay, two reasons, and maybe Jeffrey could add to it if he could think of anything else. But reason number one is because it's not all of IRGC, they're divided, right? Part of the IRGC thinks that the United States and Israelis are going to attack anyway, so why wait for them? We should do it first. Why wait for all of the assets to gather? And actually, they have a point. To be fair, they have a point because before Operation Epic Fury started, they were saying the same thing. They're like, look, all of these military assets are on their way to attack us. Why are we waiting for them to arrive? Shouldn't we start this before they have everything ready? And then the other parts of the Islamic Republic were like, no, because the negotiation, let's see if the negotiations, like, and also we don't want to look like we're bringing war and stuff like that, right? And they waited, and boom, the Americans and Israelis started attacking. So this time they're like, why are we waiting again? Obviously, these people, the negotiations are fake. These people are just buying time to bring more of their military assets in the region. So we should strike before they do. So not everyone agrees with this. Like, for example, imagine if you're Ghalibaf. Ghalibaf is like a big deal among the people who are left. He has like some force behind him, right? If you're Ghalibaf, you're like, if the war starts, I'm the first one to die, right? Like they basically pause exactly when it was his turn. There was Larry joining, and he was next. So if the war starts, Ghalibaf thinks that okay, I'm dead. So I'm not at all eager to start this war. I'm going to try to do everything to make ceasefire hold or the negotiations work. Also, there are many people within the Islamic Republic who think that if the war starts, they're going to come and destroy the entire power plants and bridges and everything. And the blockade is never going to be stopped. If they're not going to remove the blockade while we're in a ceasefire, why would they remove the blockade while we're in the middle of a goddamn war? And they think that they're going to go bankrupt soon unless they remove the blockade. And even though the chances of removing the blockade is low right now, it's even lower if the military operations start, right? So they're like, let's try to remove the blockade. That's their highest priority. So I actually have three reasons. That was the second reason. The third reason is that what are they going to fight with? Oh yeah, let's go to fight. Let's go to war. Like with what? With your speedboats? Like you have no navy left, almost. You have no air force left. You haven't figured like you haven't replaced or rebuilt your air defense. So if the war starts again, the Israelis and Americans have complete control over your airspace. So the missiles against Israel have proven to be very insignificant compared to before. The only thing that you have to show for is being very annoying to the UAE. Like the only thing you could do is the only thing that is annoying is you're continuing to block the Strait of Hormuz, and you're already doing that anyways. It's not like you need to wait for war to start. And all the missiles that every country has been very not impressive, except for UAE. This is what the UAE, and actually that's not good because the UAE has now blocked all of the financial institutions within the UAE that you used to use as a way to bypass sanctions and everything. So all of that is gone now. So what, like, you want to? Yeah, let's go fight before they start fighting, but with what exactly? This is why I think the Islamic Republic is now begging the Houthis and the Houthis in Yemen and the Hashd al-Shabi in Iraq to come join the fight. That's why they sent Qa'ani into Iraq because they don't have that many cards to play with. I think that's what's happening, other than the ones that they're already playing with. So that's why even the ones who are eager to go back into war, it's just that their hands are empty. Jeffrey, is that your assessment as well?
Yeah, you touched. There's absolutely the Mullah regime's ability to project power in a conventional way has very much been obliterated. Right? They have the ability to leverage asymmetric approaches to cause local or regional pain, generally without getting into like clandestine delivery of WMDs and all that, because that's still there. The other issue, and you and Goldie touched on this, actually, your insight on Iranian culture and the administrative structure of the Mullah regime touches on even a more important issue that's right now undermining the Mullah regime, well, the regime remnants to do that, which is the soft civil war between the Artesh and the IRGC is no longer soft. What did you have, right? You have, even within the context of the current US and Israeli operations, you had IRGC putting Artesh in areas of increased risk. And then when they were wounded, would just be like, yeah, fuck them. Not going to send anything to, not going to send them any medical supplies. Essentially, just using them as they, like the IRGC did to the Artesh, what Putin does to undesirable elements in Russia, just to use them as bullet sponges. Like the regime remnants is really, you and Goldie nailed it, right? Like you got elements of them going, yep, not going to go do that shit, trying to like move to another country, or they didn't show up for work, or they're like, wow, these fuckers gave me 10 rounds, gave them 10 rounds and no canteen of water. I, that almost assuredly is one of the biggest intrastate issues that is undermining the ability of the IRGC to project power in the manner that the hardliners would probably like to.
It's interesting because you're absolutely right. They don't have that much to fight with, and they don't even have a lot of missile launchers, and we don't know how many drones left. I assume not that much. So it's interesting. Oh, and one more thing. Speaking of Russia, this is related to the Iran war. I think Jeffrey and Danny wanted me to share this with you. If I can, it won't let me. I was trying to share a video that you might like, if it's
Try
okay to
again.
do that.
Try again.
That video, I was gonna try and. You want me to try again, Danny?
Yeah, I just pressed the screen share.
Okay. So I guess entire screen, I guess. Okay.
I don't have audio.
What was it?
I don't have audio, but it's okay. It's mostly not audio.
Yeah. Now
So
I don't.
Noah, we had no idea, and from now on, send me the links if we're going to share something. Okay.
I was trying to send you the. I was trying to
It's
share it
okay.
with
It's
you.
okay. So Danny, from now on, if somebody wants to share something, just send it to me and I'll share it myself. Yeah.
Sorry.
Because there's for some reason there seems to be an audio issue when other people share it. I don't know why. When I share it, it has audio. All right. So let's move on.
Yep. I didn't call it on Samantha yet. Samantha put it too in the chat.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
Samantha.
my internet was cutting out. Did we move on from talking about what happened with Trump? Because that was what I wanted to respond to.
We did, but maybe we could finish the. Did we finish the responses to this? Because you could start a new one.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, should we? Can Samantha maybe open a? Maybe you could start a new conversation.
I would argue
regarding
that Trump is just as bad as Hitler.
Oh my god.
Clearly, Trump has not done as much damage as Hitler did to the world, but like we could use the same argument with Hamas. Hamas, their ideology and like what they would do if they could, they're just as bad as the Nazis. They just don't have the power to do what the Nazis did, so that therefore they've done way less damage than the Nazis have done, but they're just as bad. And I would argue the same thing about Donald Trump. because when you really think about it, I feel like the main difference is like Hitler came to rise at a time where Germany was diving into the sense of like unity and wanting to rally around the flag and be united. So he was able to get like all of Germany or like most of Germany really behind him. Was Trump came to power at a time of like hyperpolarization. So because of hyperpolarization, it's like he can't unite everyone. He's going to have one group, which is going to have of Americans, which is going to be having to face off and fight against another group of Americans. So I don't think he can power-wise do what Hitler did. But guys, Donald Trump, with immigration, he had
So
people.
wait, I have to interrupt this. We're not going to do
What?
this here. We're not doing this here because it's this type of talk that causes assassinations like that. So we're not going to do that here, and it's actually ridiculous to even compare President Trump to Hitler. What are we even talking about? Like, what is that? Like, how is that even remotely comparable? First of all, President Trump has done so much good for the world. Especially now that we're talking about the Iranian people, like it's actually retarded to talk about President Trump being. He's the opposite of. He's not like Hitler. He's the opposite of Hitler, because he right now. So Hitler is responsible for the greatest humanitarian violation of the greatest human rights violation of his time. Actually, maybe it was Stalin, second runner up at least. But President Trump is actually one of the only people out there who's responding to an entire nation asking for help. Like the greatest massacre of our time is a massacre upon the Iranian people. And when the entire world was ignoring the Iranian people, it was Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump that came to their aid. So not only he's not like Hitler, he's the opposite of Hitler. I have my disagreements with him, but those are just disagreements. There are some policies of him that I don't like, but but when it comes to human rights and protecting people and defending people when they need it, he's actually on the right side of history. He's the opposite of Hitler. And this kind of talk is the reason why so many people are trying to assassinate him. Because if you keep comparing President Trump to Hitler, well, people think, what would I do it? What would I've done? What would be the responsible thing to do when Hitler was around? And they would think that the right thing was to do something like this guy, this maniac, this fucking retarded, I don't know, this radical terrorist guy just did. And this kind of talk
Trump
is
doesn't have the
basically
power to do what Hitler did. So I condemn shooting him based off of that principle because I don't think he has the power to do what Hitler did.
he doesn't want to do that. That is more important. He doesn't want to do what Hitler did. What does that have? How he came to the aid of people who needed them when they needed him, while the rest of the world was ignoring him. While the rest of the world was ignoring our people. So there's nothing that he wants to do that is remotely comparable to the ambitions and desires of Hitler. Nothing remotely close.
He was during his first term having immigrant children being ripped out of the arms of their mothers. He had them in cages and he didn't do anything to like keep track of whose child is who. Like he didn't.
There's more of that happening during Obama's time, okay? And every time you're dealing with migration issues, there always going to be, okay, so there might be some fair criticism regarding the way things were handled, okay? But even if you handle it as good as you can, there will always be some issues with regards to trying to keep trying to keep families together, trying to make sure that everybody's being treated properly. I remember when it comes to the children being separated, a lot of it had to do with the safety of the children and not knowing who the parents is and not knowing if they were being trafficked and these people would being their true parents or not. There's also situations with regarding to being able to criminally charge their parents because they're adults, but not being able to do that with the children because they didn't want to charge them. Whatever difficulties and bad experiences you could point to when it comes to how United States dealt with the migration, it is far better than how most other countries handle it. Far better, even if you could find faults. And United States actually does more than other countries to try to treat people the right way. And historically, that is not even comparable to what has happened. So even if you want to criticize what he's doing, what he did with the migrants and the children, you're judging it based on modern standards, okay? Because based on Hitler time standards, they would just put these people in a line and shoot them. These are people who are not even deserve to live. Like, you're like, it's basically night and day, right? The way that the migrants are being treated at the border, even if you could find things that could be improved, is like a completely different world compared to how people used to be treated just 80 years ago by Stalin, by Hitler, by Mao. It would, but by that, if you, the criticism that we have for the migration policy in the United States, if you went back 80 years ago, even in the United States, right? If you talked about this being an issue, they would think this is paradise. The level of care and the complaints that people have and the criticism for governments shows that the standards for how we treat people must be much higher if this is our criticism. Even in the United States back in the day, look at the way that they treated the Japanese and compare it to now the criticism that we have for the United States when it comes to how they're treating the migrants. Like, even within the United States, we have made a huge improvement. So you can't just be like, oh, this is bad, therefore Hitler. What?
There was no attempt to even keep track of whose kid belonged to who, and where it was getting sent to
But
when the gang
okay,
separated
but
from
Samantha,
parents.
listen to yourself. Let's say that's fair, okay? You're talking about a regime that created the death machine, like turned killing people into an industry. You're saying that is the same as the United States not doing a proper job keeping track of whose children. That is ridiculous. I would agree with you if you find things that could have been done better. I would, yeah, okay, fine, that should have
Trump
been
has
done.
the power to do what Hitler did. Like, I don't think
That's
that the way America is today, that
you're
someone has the
missing my
power to create
point. You haven't proven that he has the desire to do. I don't care if whether or not he has. First of all, if he doesn't have the power, that shows that how United States has such a superior system with checks and balances. But just because somebody can't do something, it doesn't prove that they want to do something, and their inability is the only thing stopping them. If you are going to make the claim that somebody like President Trump has the same desires to cause a genocide or do something like the Holocaust, and the only thing that is stopping him is basically the checks and balances within the United States, that is a claim, and you are making the claim, and the burden of proof is on your shoulders. You have to demonstrate that. You cannot just that's a really big accusation against somebody. And you cannot just offer it and just basically ask other people to prove you wrong. You made the claim. You need to prove that President Trump has that desire to do something remotely even close to the Holocaust.
All right, I have all the Israelis want to respond to this. So first, Rebecca.
Is there sound?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Hi. So first, I want to say I don't even know where to start from, but I thought maybe I'll start with the technical, so even a person with no brains like Samantha could understand. And I'm sorry, I'm so tired of lunatic leftists.
Let's not personally attack each other here.
It is very personal because every person like that is actually endangering each and every one of us. And I'm trying pretending they are not dangerous. Now listen closely, all right? There are several things that are mandatory in order for your theory even to work. Where is Trump's Mein Kampf? You think you can be a Hitler without the journey what Hitler went through? He wrote Mein Kampf. He explained exactly what he intends to do. He had a theory, a theology. Everything that he had is mandatory because it doesn't work. You don't work on your own. A leader cannot do whatever they want. They need an army. You build an army by introducing a theology, a theory, something to follow. Trump didn't do it. It means that every one of those cases that you brought up could have been avoided because there is also Here's the thing, there is something that is called unlawful command, that some soldier and a person can actually refuse a command if it is unlawful. It is in the law. And because Trump doesn't have and didn't change any of those things and didn't present a manifesto, it is on the person that put a child on a cage to, that's their fault. They could have refused. They are, yeah, they are required to do and not follow an unlawful command. So what you are saying is a complete misunderstanding on how systems work and how you have to. Khomeini presented his ideology. It was there for those who look for it. He had a stupid book where he described what to do to children, okay, babies. It doesn't work out of the blue. You need to know how those systems are created. What you're saying is, if I want the sky to be pink, the sky will be pink. It doesn't work this way. Stop with this idiotism. Thank you. And everything you said is a lie also, which is, let's not even argue about the lies are true or not true. I'm not even wasting my time on that. There is a technical mathematical methodology on how you do something like Hitler did. Trump follows none. Even Lenin had Leninism. Mao had Mao. It doesn't come without a clear path that is written.
Yeah, we were asking that you be relatively nice to Samantha because Samantha is coming out of a cult, and we shouldn't.
I
make
don't
that
want to
too
be
more
nice.
difficult to
Every
understand.
single leftist is in a cult right now. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Why am I supposed to pretend there are sane people that I need to discuss with them? It's not a discussion. One side is schizophrenic. It's
Okay,
not.
so you want them to remain in the cult or what?
No, you don't understand. They need psychiatrists and not discussing. They are not into politics. Politics requires sanity, civility.
Well-
you need to be a civilian in order to be in politics. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Okay, I don't want to discuss this too much. That's just what I requested, and try to be a little bit nicer in the future.
I'm not. I won't.
Cat Lady, you're next.
Yeah, actually, I can see both approaches here. I can understand Rebecca, even though it's harsh. I can stand the other points. Both can be like existing at the same time. No need to tell each other what to do. I think, but it's not my call. But about Samantha, look, you're saying, how is Trump Hitler? What is Hitler about him? You're saying things that are so general, like if I'm like a painting and I'm an artist, you will say, maybe I'm a Hitler. Maybe someone loves dogs, so maybe he's a Hitler. It's nonsensical. And if you're going to the places of he could be Hitler if he had the abilities, then I'm sorry, you're playing God. You don't know. You don't know. And also another thing is, I'm holding my anger. I'm not angry anymore because I know this phenomenon and I've been through this. I am like my grandparents, all of them were survivors, all of them, first grandparents. And I think the American Jews failed teaching their children about this. They made it universal. They made it Anne Frank about overcoming hardships and stupid shit like that. It's you need to learn. You need to learn what happened. Okay? That's all.
Thank you, Cat Lady. Sabina? Wait, is Sabina you here? I can't hear anything.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, the actual political comparison to Hitler with Trump doesn't, sure, he isn't any of the things, the political realities of Hitler, but Trump sure has like specifically done certain things to copy Hitler, like symbolically. And like he's done this intentionally for whatever reason. It may be part of his 3D chess. I don't know. But I can go through a list of things like building the ballroom. Hitler built a ballroom in the Chancellery.
Oh my God! Are you
that's just
kidding
one
me?
example.
Are you
That's just
kidding me?
one
That
example.
is ridiculous.
It's
That
one
is
example. Like, no, there's a pretty long list, Armin. But the main thing that I wanted to
No,
say,
let me
yeah,
give you a list. Let me give you a list. Hold on. Trump drinks water. Hitler drinks water. Okay. Trump enjoys paintings. Hitler enjoyed paintings. Trump has a dog. Hitler had a dog.
Trump built an
Trump
arch.
poops. Hitler poops.
Trump wants to build an
Takes
arch.
walks. Hitler takes walks. Trump has been to the beach. Hitler has been to the beach. Trump has visited Paris. Hitler has visited Paris. I could go on. I could go on. Are you kidding me? That is also retarded. I'm
He
sorry.
literally has
Building a
his book on
ballroom.
his nightstand,
Building a ball. Oh my God.
according to his wives. According to his wives, Hitler, like Trump, literally has Hitler's book on his nightstand.
I had Hitler's book. I had Hitler's book.
Okay. All right. Okay. But I'm just saying there's some symbolic things that, like the logo for his cryptocurrency, there's a bunch of things that, like, were specifically Hitler like that. Sure, maybe they're coincidences. I think it was intentional. I don't know. But the main thing that I wanted to mention was that yes, you are probably right that the IRGC killing 45,000 people in 2 days, I think that is probably an underestimate and that the real numbers are probably much higher.
Why
But
are we
that,
switching from Trump
but
all of
but
a sudden?
but
I don't
but
understand.
but we need to acknowledge that what the UAE and Saudi Arabia did in Sudan, and like the Al Fashir massacre has numbers that are quite similar to what the IRGC did, and that kind of industrial slaughter of human beings can occur with modern military weapons. But that's all I'm saying is that we need to not forget that Sudan happened.
You're moving
Yeah.
all over the place. You're missing the main topic, okay?
Right.
And I
Okay.
think it's a ridiculous claim to suggest that symbolically President Trump is copying Hitler. And your first example demonstrates how ridiculous this
The
is.
ballroom with a bunker underneath it.
Yes,
Ballroom
that
with a
is
bunker
absolutely.
underneath it.
Yes,
Like with
that is
filled
like
with
the fact that you. I'm talking.
by
I'm
architects.
talking.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Okay.
Close your microphone. Close your microphone. The fact that saying that, oh, Trump made the ballroom with a bunker underneath it, and Hitler did the same thing, and that shows that President Trump is symbolically copying Hitler, is retarded. I'm sorry, it's retarded. But let's continue.
Let's try to finish the list. Noah?
Sorry. I'm this level of toxicity. I'm having feelings I'm trying not to feel again. But I will say this, I also see a therapist too, and I had a mental health episode a while ago. I'm fine, by the way, but the tox the toxicity by everyone is just getting way out of hand. But I'll say this, Trump is nowhere like Hitler. Yes, I disagree with him, but he is nowhere like Hitler. He has a lot of checks and balances. He also has a narrow majority in Congress. He doesn't have a supermajority. He can't change the Constitution or all that. The Supreme Court has also ruled against him a whole bunch of times. And also, he's helping my ancestral homeland of Iran. I have not seen any president, not Bush, not Obama, not Clinton, none of them. He has done so much for Iran. Like, it made it made me put my faith back in our political leaders. And yes, I'm not a big Trump fan, but in this case, I really do agree with him. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'll be respectful to everyone, but we really need to all just take a breather because this is getting really bad.
Why is it getting bad? Like this, the heated conversation that we're having.
And I'm not
Like
the
you
only, I'm not the only one that's shaking my head. There's a whole bunch of other people that are shaking their heads as well. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
But get used to it, because that's how sometimes we talk here. Okay.
that's true.
But
That's true.
yeah, but
Sorry.
no, that's okay. Don't say sorry. That's okay. But I agree. But I do think that these comparisons is the reason why we have terrorist attacks. Okay. And I think the people who make these comparisons are feeding into it, because even if you say, oh, I don't support assassination of President Trump, when you compare Hitler with President Trump and say that they are similar, what do you think you're encouraging? What do people think is the right thing to do with Hitler? What do you think people think is the right response to Hitler? Wouldn't that follow? But yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. Can I ask Samantha to answer that actually?
Can I say, I don't know who's looked at like President Trump's 2025 plan, Project 2025 plan, which fortunately he wasn't able to implement because of how polarized this country is. So again, he doesn't have the power to do what Hitler did, but
Project
I mean, a
2025
lot
was
of
not Trump's plan.
didn't Trump
In fact,
write it?
No, in fact, he called it too crazy.
I'm pretty sure Trump wrote it.
No, it was the Heritage Foundation or something. What was it? I don't know. I forgot who wrote that. It was the
I
Heritage
think maybe
Foundation.
like that's
Foundation,
published it or
Heritage
something, but like I'm
Foundation.
pretty sure he wrote it.
It was the Heritage. No, it wasn't in left leaning circles and in communist cults. They told everybody that Trump wrote it, but Trump did not write it.
It was the
Okay,
Heritage
I need to
Foundation. I
Google
looked it
search
up.
Project 2025 because I'm very certain he wrote it.
In fact, Trump didn't like it. Trump called it too radical.
You should look that up on your own time. But I still really wanted to hear, what do you think happens when you compare Trump to Hitler? Do you not think that leads to violence? Okay.
Look, obviously it can lead to violence, but like when we talk about the danger of Islam, that can lead to violence against Muslims, unfortunately. You
Not
know,
if you,
it's
not if you say, so this is something I've been very aware of. This is why I always say defend Muslims, right? I try to separate. I say Muslims are good, right? I try to say on average, most Muslims are really good, decent people on average. I say I'm anti-Islam. However, most Muslims, I try to match my anti-Islam activism with defending the rights of Muslims, right? So as a way not to promote hate against Muslims as people. At the end of the day, Islam is a toxic ideology that kills, and so we have that. We are that is not saying that is harmful, but also we have to do that responsibly in a way that we don't encourage hate and discrimination against Muslims. And I think the best way to handle that is to just also point out the fact that the vast majority of Muslim people are decent people, and both of these are true. And when we're dealing with true statements, the only thing you could do is just make sure what you're saying is as close to reality as possible. So when it comes to comparing President Trump to Hitler, is that encourages radical actions, and at the same time, it's not true. It's ridiculous. In fact, I checked the statements that you made, and look at this. They're separating children. First of all, even if any of this was true, it's not at all Hitler. But all of that started with the Obama administration. He was the one that originally built the detention facilities that was referred to as cages often, and the family separations also occurred started before Trump's presidency. Okay, and the policy that they had under President Trump was standard enforcement of the law. They were just following exactly the standard procedure. It's just that President Trump was getting a lot more attack for it, and they're prosecuting adults for illegal entry inherently require temporarily separating them from minors. That's what you do with other crimes as well, rather than it. So this is not a standalone policy. This was standard So basically, President Trump's administration was following the law as it was written, right? And when it comes to not tracking the children, the problem that was identified was the outdated IT systems. The Department of Homeland Security and the Health and Human Services. So the Department of Homeland Security, they detain the adults. The Health and Human Services, they took custody of the children. They had separate databases. So this is not let's hurt the children policy. This is not, oh, fuck these immigrants, let's hurt them. This is an administration issue. This is an IT problem. Okay, that the Homeland Security was taking charge of adults, the Health and Human Services were taking care of children, and they had different data systems. And the separate data systems were basically not designed to communicate or track family units at that scale. So this is a administrative problem. This is not like discrimination. This is not like a planned hurting of children. Oh, you weren't even tracking it. Yeah, you could criticize the government for why your database sucks. That's a fair criticism. But saying, oh, you have two databases that don't track each other, therefore you're Hitler, that's a ridiculous. Oh, you committed the Holocaust. You have two data systems that can't connect the children to their parents, and that's basically the same thing. That is a ridiculous comparison.
I mean,
Anyways,
again, Project 2025, it's pretty bad. Like, it's on par with Mein Kampf.
It wasn't written. Did you not hear us saying that Trump did not write that? Like, we already established that. Did we not establish that? First of all, Project 2025 is not at all anything remotely close to Hitler's ideology. Not even close. Not even close. But even if it wasn't even written by Trump, didn't we already go through that?
Yes.
Yes.
We
So I
did,
don't know
and
why we're
therefore
going
we're going to
back
go
to
to
it.
Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very actually apt discussion. And I understand why Rebecca was upset. I think I also understand the argument Samantha is making. Tell me if I'm wrong. So your argument is you think President Trump's ideology is allegedly the same as Hitler, and the lack of extremity in the application of that alleged ideology is due to a lack of unity and subsequent opportunity to carry out said alleged evil plans in the same decisive manner that Hitler did. And the way in which you're drawing on some very key, I don't want to say warped, incorrect inferences, or you're basing it on some very key points of misinformation. So with regards to the ballroom, right, it's like Armin was right, it's very much reductio ad absurdism, which is what was done with regards to the Shaw. God, it's like been bunking this garbage for 30 years. It's not you, Samantha. I just hate the people that fucking did this to you. Take the bunker, right? The ballroom of the bunker underneath it is due to increased threats by terrorism and hostile intelligence assets in place in the United States by members of the autocratic bloc, Putin, Xi, mullahs, North Koreans, pick whatever, right? Shake a stick, you'll hit an asshole. Check that off the bingo card. Increasing tense geopolitical and geostrategic environments, and the fact that those actors focus on gray zone warfare prior to the onset of escalatory war. So when you take that into account, it played a role in some of the things you're citing, legit a direct role. And when we're not recording, I'll actually bring up some of the emails and black some things out so you can read it. So you know I'm not lying. Taking those into account, the reason for the bunker on the ballroom copies the Greenbrier, not the Wolf's Lair. So the Greenbrier was something that was built in the beginning, like the early 50s, by Eisenhower's administration in response to a threat posed by Soviet atomic and then thermonuclear weapons as part of a broader effort for continuity of government. It's not like where somebody gets underground and like plans, evil plans deep in the bowels of the Earth's crust. Project 2025 was written by elements out of the Heritage Foundation. I'm actually I was part of some of the discussions that helped create some of that. It was written in direct response to the operational manifestation of the institutional capture of key institutions and federal agencies by radical leftism over the decades from the 60s till when it was written, via those agencies' dependency on universities for their workforce and universities being leftist only clubs. Here's a key observation I'm going to share with you. I understand the concern, right, about fascism and its subsidiaries. I think this is the reason why Rebecca was probably upset, and in some cases, rightly. Throughout the 20th century, the rise of fascism and its subsidiaries in almost every instance, so, right, Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, Franco Spain, was almost always preceded by a decade of pro Soviet political violence. Fascism was the co radicalized response. And there are times where we've had discussions where I say things like, and this was actually last night at the political event I went to. We talked about the impact of radical leftists before the assassination attempt. The patriotic bloc is done. And they mean it. One more assassination, they're going to respond. I'm a voice of reason and restraint. They don't listen to me no more. Because when you have consistent acts like you're seeing, not only just by lone actors, when you have things like Maxine Waters saying, we got to get in their face and attack Trump supporters and all this other shit, you really leave almost no room. Not you, I'm saying the radical left is leaving no room but that response. Think about what went on with the the Southern Poverty Law Center. They were busted in funding radical racist organizations to set up a pretext for them to do all their stupid shit. And they don't care about black people or minorities. They don't care at all. I'm not saying that the idea of ensuring that an autocratic, I'm not exactly against autocracies in some ways. I'm probably one of the most top-down center Republicans you'd ever meet. That being said, I understand the concern you're raising. I'm saying that if that is actually the concern, the act by the radical left is ensuring in every way possible that they're going to get the thing they say they don't want. Either way,
All
I
right,
want to
let's.
say that, yeah, I'll let you
Oh,
go.
sorry.
No, you do your thing.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. All right, so let's move down the list because I want to make sure that we cover some other topics as
Yeah.
well. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So who's next?
Can I get one more response from Sherry because she's been waiting a long time? Just like 20
Okay,
seconds.
Sherry, yes.
And then
Yeah,
Bless.
no, it's you. Sorry, I didn't see.
I'm sorry. I usually never want to take up your time. I try and make it sweet and concise. Number one, I would just like to say there's nobody in my life that I think about more every single day other than Joey, Samantha, and Sabina. I think about them every single day, all day. And I think about them so much because I can hear how angry and tortured that they are by their past, etc. But I also want to say one little hint to you, Sabina, when you talk in therapy, I'm pretty sure you've never heard a therapist say to you, you need to see it this way. You need to think of it this way. That's not going to help you. Don't tell people what they need to feel or what they need to think. Don't do it. You have a lot of great opportunities to share your thoughts. However, damn it, I'm so frustrated with Samantha's beginning to even begin to tell us that Trump is anything like him. The closest thing in the United States presidency that has been anything close to Hitler is FDR. He actually put people in camps.
Let's not keep opening this whole people are
Well,
Hitler.
I put on a 2 onto this thing, and I started with the fact that I love Samantha. I think about her every day. I pray for her all the time. I hate what she's been through. But there is no way out of it unless you want to get out of it. You have to want to get out of that place, Samantha. You've got to get out of that place. But you got to want to. That I'm just not going to even begin to fantasize or entertain the fact that Trump is anything like the devil and the evilness that Hitler portrayed on people. It's not close to true. And it's not because he doesn't have the power. It's not what it is. It's just not his intent.